Your grammar doesn't have to be perfect. Your pronunciation doesn't have to be perfect. But if you can communicate, it's really rewarding. It was the best experience of my life. Not just my knowledge of vocabulary and grammar and structure. Yes, that all improved, but my confidence went through the roof. I think it's so important that we are always learning, no matter how old we are or no matter where we are in life. And especially now that I'm retired, I realize I need to keep my brain working.
Hola a todos, welcome to another episode of Conquering Spanish. I'm your host, Tania Roman. And on today's episode, you're going to listen to a conversation with Ardy Robertson. Ardy is a retired teacher and an avid pickleball player currently living in Arizona. We talked about her life there and what it was like living in Alaska as well. She actually shared a very surprising detail about Spanish and living in that state. Ardy also had the opportunity to live with a family in Michoacan for a couple of summers. So she shared with me what it was like learning the language, the culture, and just being enamored by the language. And as I mentioned, she is a huge pickleball fan. So she shared with me how she combines the sport with her love of Spanish. Ardy is absolutely amazing, and her energy just inspires you to start or continue learning Spanish. So please listen to this conversation, and I'm sure you're going to want to start learning right after you listen to it.
Hola Ardy, ¿cómo estás?
Hola,
Bienvenida.
Tania. Gracias, estoy súper bien.
Me da mucho gusto que estés con nosotros en Conquering Spanish. Y oye, platícanos, ¿dónde vives? ¿Qué haces? Platícanos de ti.
Pues me llamo Ardy. Yo pues nací en California, pero he vivido en Alaska por los últimos 40 años y ahora mi esposo y yo estamos jubilados
Ujú.
y vivimos en Arizona.
Genial. Oye, ¿y qué tal es Alaska?
Pues Alaska es el lugar más lindo, más hermoso de todo el mundo. Es-
Ujú.
Tal vez México es segundo.
Ok, sí lo creo. Los paisajes han de estar impresionantes con la nieve.
Sí, y las montañas son grandísimas y hay muchos animales por todas partes. ¿Y sabes qué son los alces?
Sí, son
Sí,
impresionantes.
hay alces grandes, viven por la ciudad y están por las calles todo el tiempo y todo el mundo se para y ve a los alces que están cruzando las calles.
Ajá. Wow, qué hermoso convivir con la naturaleza.
Sí, sí, y si quieres experimentar la naturaleza, Alaska es el lugar para ti.
Sí, lo creo. Y ahora, Arizona es bien diferente a Alaska.
Por eso escogimos a Arizona.
Sí, claro, pues desierto, mucho calor.
Y
Ujú,
mucho sol
ujú,
y
ujú.
mucha luz, porque en Alaska tenemos oscuridad 6 meses por el año.
Ok,
Sí,
sí,
pero
eso.
aquí no.
Ujú. Y aquí en Arizona puedes tener como mejor estado de ánimo.
Sí, exacto. Y aquí nuestro trabajo es jugar pickleball, nadar en las albercas, jugar softball, y hacer caminatas por las colinas y las montañas aquí. Entonces, la vida aquí es completamente diferente.
Claro, oye, ¿te gusta jugar pickleball? Entonces,
Sí, es mi vida.
es muy divertido. ¿Has venido a México a jugar pickleball?
Sí, acabamos de pasar un mes en San Miguel de Allende
Ujú.
y Jugamos pickleball 6 días cada semana porque fuimos allá por un mes, el mes de agosto, todo el
Ok.
mes.
Ok, qué genial. Pues te platico que en la Ciudad de México, desde hace 2 años, Pickleball ha crecido
Sí,
y ahora ya hay muchas ligas de Pickleball para que vengas a jugar un día.
sí, voy a hacerlo porque a mí me encanta estas dos cosas, México y pickleball.
Excelente, sería muy bueno combinarlo.
Sí, exacto.
Ajá, muy bien. Bueno, voy a cambiar un poquito a inglés, Ardy, para que podamos platicar sobre tu camino en el español. ¿Sí? Muy
Sí.
bien. Pues muchas felicidades. Well, congratulations, Ardy. You speak Spanish super well.
Ah,
And
thank you.
yeah, I loved it. I love listening, and I want you to tell us what's your journey been like with Spanish?
Well, I took my first Spanish class in seventh grade
Mm-hmm.
and I loved it.
Okay.
I just knew it was exactly um, what I wanted to study. And so I studied since seventh grade for junior high school, and then in college, I went and studied in Spain for a semester. And then I
Mm-hmm.
studied in Costa Rica for a semester.
Wow.
And I liked them both. But then after I got my bachelor's degree, I did my master's degree in Spanish and I lived in Mexico. I lived in Morelia, Michoacan. And I was an English teacher and I studied Spanish for 4 summers. So I lived there for 10 weeks every summer and I lived with the same family. And that is where I really submersed myself in Spanish and in the Mexican culture. And I have been trying to improve my Spanish ever since.
Wonderful. I'm going to take you back to seventh grade.
Yeah.
What did you love about Spanish that, caught you at such an early age?
Great question. I think because it was familiar, because we hear so much Spanish. There are so many Spanish speaking people here. Like from my childhood in California and even in Alaska, we have many Spanish speaking people. And so it was familiar. And I love language. I love figuring out the roots of words. Oftentimes, if I would learn a phrase in English, I would
Mhm.
wonder, why is it called yellow fever? Or
Right.
why do we call something what we call it? So I think I've always been interested in the roots of language. And I think
Mhm.
so much of English is rooted in Spanish. And I really just enjoyed learning another language.
Yeah, it's exciting. And you know what you told me about Spanish speakers in Alaska is surprising. I would have never imagined it.
Yes, we have a lot of Spanish speakers in Alaska, and Alaska has many job opportunities. So we have people from all different cultures. As
Okay.
a teacher, I had students from every culture you can imagine, from every continent except Antarctica, of course. But we have a lot of opportunities for people. And so Alaska is a really popular spot. You would think that people from different cultures don't want to come here, but they do or go
Okay,
there.
that's amazing. And once you became a teacher, were you speaking to some students in Spanish?
Sí, claro, of course. And sometimes we always had two full-time Spanish teachers, and if they were busy, they would ask me to come and help talk to the teachers.
Okay. And how was that for you?
I loved it. There's such a sense of pride and of accomplishment of being able to converse with someone in another language and to help them understand because your grammar doesn't have to be perfect, your pronunciation doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can communicate, especially with a parent about something that's going on with their child, it's really rewarding.
Right. And you just mentioned something so true and so important, that we don't have to look for perfection, just communication.
I always say that my husband is also trying to learn Spanish because, like I said, we just spent a month in San Miguel and he is learning. And I told him, just say the words you know, they don't have to be perfect because the goal is communicating. As long as you can get your point
Hmm.
across, then you're achieving the
Hmm.
goal.
Exactly, exactly. And so many times we freeze up and it's like, no, I'd rather not try because it's not perfect.
Yeah. And I say no because I imagine if I am somewhere in my life and someone who doesn't speak English is trying to communicate with me, even if it's just certain words, and I understand what they're saying, I want to help them.
Of course, definitely. And I want to take you back to your summers in Morelia. How was it living with a family?
Wonderful. I love it. I miss them so much. I talk about that family as if they were my family. I still say my Mexican mother, my Mexican sisters, and we have lost touch because it's been over 25 years now,
Hmm.
but I still think of them all the time. And it was the best experience of my life.
What did you learn besides the language?
Oh gosh. Well, you learn the best slang that you would never learn from a textbook or from a packet. Um, you learn the true Mexican culture, which is the most warm, beautiful, loving culture. Oh, they're such wonderful people. I always tell people, mi corazón ya vive en Mexico. And I just, I love it. And so I'm so grateful that my husband understands that. And we go visit Mexico a couple times every year.
Oh, that's amazing. And I'm glad that you have somebody to share it with.
Yes, very much. I love it so much. Morelia, too, is a beautiful city that it's not well known. It's not extremely popular with tourists, but it was just such a beautiful, safe, loving, inviting community. I like really being there.
I haven't had the chance of going to Morelia, but I've heard wonderful things about it.
Yes, it's beautiful.
And what did you like about your trip to San Miguel last month?
Oh gosh. Okay. So we just got back. So we were there the whole month of August. We were
Hmm.
home. And the second week of September, we booked going back there next year for 6 weeks instead of four. We loved it that much.
Amazing. San Miguel has a certain charm about it.
Totally. And it's a pueblo mágico. So it
Hmm.
has that like you said, charm about it. And it has the cobblestone roads and the Juliet balconies with the flowers and the parroquia,
Hmm.
parroquia.
Parroquia.
Gracias. La parroquia, the beautiful cathedral. We would just go and spend time walking around the Zócalo and the area
Hmm.
around the cathedral. It was really gorgeous. And yet at the same time, it's completely modern and
Hmm.
contemporary. And we went to sushi bars and salad bars, and we had excellent, fancy, elegant meals on rooftop terraces for very good prices. Oh, everything
Right.
about it was great. We loved it.
Wonderful. And you went to San Miguel after completing your lessons with Ashley. How
Yes.
was it going to a town in Mexico, having taken your lessons?
Well, I must say, Ashley was the best teacher ever. I
Hmm.
think not just my knowledge of vocabulary and grammar and structure, yes, that all improved, but my confidence went through the roof. I was not afraid at all to try and communicate and converse and express myself with anyone because Coach Ashley, she instilled in me that I need to keep trying and it's okay if I make a few mistakes and as long as people understand me, it's so good. But really, my husband even said, "Wow, your confidence is through the roof."
Oh, wow. And that must feel so rewarding.
It does, yes, because August was an amazing month. And I really believe if you are serious about learning, you will invest the time and the money and go immerse yourself in the target language.
So important.
Yes.
So, you've had quite a journey with Spanish, starting middle school, high school, college. What made you decide, you know what, I want to take one-on-one lessons?
So we moved to this community in Arizona,
Hmm.
and they offered weekly adult Spanish classes. And I
Hmm.
thought, oh, I haven't really done anything Spanish learning wise. Like, of course, we always travel to Spanish speaking countries and I try to practice, but I wanted something more official. So I went to this class and somebody in the class said, oh, have you heard of Spanish 55? And I said, no, what's that? And his name was Bruce. Bruce told me that he took tutoring classes with Spanish 55. And so I went online and I just signed up for the free class because I think it's so wonderful. You guys offer a free class
Hmm.
to try it out, kind of like a test drive.
Exactly.
And I loved it. And randomly, Ashley was my assigned coach, and I loved her from the first minute that we had our first Zoom class. And so that's when I decided to buy the packages because I knew it
Hmm.
was worth it.
Wonderful. How did you feel after that first class?
So excited. I was so excited. I wanted to have another class the next day.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. That's
Yeah.
exactly how we hope that our students feel, just like having that drive and motivation to just get started right away.
Yes, very much. And it was hard to not want to do it every single day because there's just something about learning. And I think it's so important that we are always learning, no matter how old we are or no matter where we are in life. And especially now that I'm retired, I realize I need to keep my brain working.
Okay, so you figured that, or you found out that it was something that kept you energized and just
Absolutely.
looking forward to life in general.
Yes, very much. I have it well, I had it on my calendar all the time, you know, Spanish 55 with Ashley. And I was so excited. Oh, tomorrow I have Coach Ashley.
And let me tell you that Coach Ash, well, before we had our interview, well, before our interview now, I spoke to Coach Ashley just to find out how your lessons were with her. And she told me that you have been one of her most disciplined, organized, diligent students that she has ever had. And she is extremely proud of everything that you accomplished with her.
Oh, thank you. That's so nice to hear.
Yeah, she was like just beaming with pride when she was telling me about your lessons and how much you improved in precisely confidence and your grammar and just like being able to speak.
Yes, very much. And she always, so one of our big targets was the subjunctive. Oh, el maldito subjuntivo. I know every Spanish language learner struggles with the subjunctive, and she had this awesome, I don't know, 30-page packet. And we went through the packet, and then I would do homework on my own, and we would go over it in class. And it was so valuable. And I wanted to go through the packet again. So we actually repeated the same packet. And now I am so much more confident with the subjunctive. It really made a difference.
Oh, amazing. And
Yeah.
so you did some homework
Yes.
and you had classes. Did you do anything else to continue brushing up on your Spanish?
Yes, Coach Ashley encouraged me to find books. And
Okay.
so one of my favorite books that I have read many times in English, it's called The Five People You Meet in Heaven. Um, I purchased it in Spanish.
Okay.
And so then I would every day try to read a few pages. And because I knew what to expect,
Mm.
it helped me really understand through context some of the vocabulary that I had never seen.
Right.
And that was a huge learning tool, was doing reading on my own, because
Mm-hmm.
that's and podcasts. Ashley recommended, that's amazing. I had never listened to a podcast my entire life, and
Oh,
Ashley
wow.
recommended some podcasts. And so what I did is when I'd go on my walks, I would be exposing myself to 30 minutes of Spanish, and listening is so important.
Mhm.
And so I listened to podcasts from people with Mexican accents, with Colombian accents, with Spanish accents, and Argentinian, which is a crazy accent. And
Uh-huh.
I really believe the listening input made a huge impact.
Right. Especially being exposed to all the different types of accents.
Yes, and whenever I had questions, I always had my Ashley list, I called it. And so when we would start our classes, we always started off with my questions that I had from the week.
Okay. Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were exposed to the lessons, and then your questions were being answered. So you took Spanish everywhere.
Yes, I loved it. I love it so much. It's so helpful.
And do you remember the names of those podcasts?
Yes. So two big ones. The one with the Mexican woman and her husband who's from the US, which is really good to because he's learning too. It's called Learn Spanish and Go.
Okay.
Mai and Jim are their names. And then the other one is a Colombian woman and her husband who's from Texas, and their podcast is called Espanolistas.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Mm-hmm.
think they also have a school. It's called Spanish Land School.
Right. Yes, we've heard of that podcast, and a lot of our students are actually listeners of that podcast. And thank you so much for sharing it, because I think students who are actually studying now or starting to can greatly benefit from being exposed to the language when they're
Yes.
not in session.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's a great way. And so so I would have my classes for 1 hour. And then every day I didn't have Coach Ashley classes, I would try to either listen to 30 minutes of podcast, or I still go to the weekly class here
Mm-hmm.
in the community. And also music helps. And then I met a friend here named Aurora, and she's from Puebla. And so,
Wonderful.
yeah, so she and I, whenever we see each other at pickleball, we always speak in Spanish.
Hey, that's great. Pickleball and Spanish.
My two favorite things.
Wonderful. Do you have any favorite artists
For music,
for music? Yes.
yes. So I listen to Ricardo Arjona.
Ooh, good one.
I learned about him when I was living in Morelia, so 20 years ago. But
Mm-hmm.
his music, his songs remind me of Billy Joel from the United States.
Okay.
They're like storytellers
Mm-hmm.
in their music. And I have learned so many phrases, and I learn a lot about grammar from their music.
Mm-hmm.
That's fun. And then Coach Ashley shared a Spotify list with me. Um, and it has Luis Miguel and Maná.
Wonderful.
Yes, and some more modern musicians.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
If you could share it with us, we will definitely put it in the show notes so that other people can listen to it. That'd be
Yes, okay,
wonderful.
the Spotify list?
Yeah, the Spotify list.
Okay,
That'd be
sure,
awesome.
yeah.
Please. Thank you. Because, I think, like you said, music is a wonderful way, and it's kind of like a fun way to learn the language.
Yes, and
Mhm.
it's almost like a secret way that your brain is picking up vocabulary without realizing it. And
Mhm.
I find that if I Google the letra, if I look at the lyrics,
Yeah,
it helps a lot more, because even I have a hard time sometimes with the words in English.
right.
So sometimes And you don't need to be upset that you don't understand it because songs go very fast. And so I Google the lyrics and that helps a lot.
Definitely. So we'll definitely put the link in the show notes.
Okay, sure.
Wonderful. And before we go on talking about your journey, I want to ask you, living in Arizona, have you been able to speak Spanish besides your friend Aurora?
Yes, often. I love it. Anytime I hear Spanish, I just intervene and I have the confidence now to just say, Hola, soy estudiante y quiero platicar en español. ¿Puedes practicar conmigo? And everyone's always so nice. They don't think I'm crazy, even though it's a little crazy.
Oh, I love it. I love it because you don't you look for the opportunities.
Exactly. I was at the bank last week. Just last week, we went to the bank, and the name tag of the teller, it said "Yo hablo español," and so I asked her if we could do our whole transaction in Spanish, and she was like, "Of course." And so it was so fun for me to practice real life situations in Spanish.
Oh, I love that, Ardy, so much because you're not holding back, even though you could have gone the easy route and spoken English. It's like, no, I want to do this in Spanish.
And I think that's the best benefit of having worked with Spanish 55 and Coach Ashley is you get used to speaking with someone in Spanish all the time. And so then your confidence level is higher when you have the opportunity to start a conversation in Spanish.
Of course, I love that. So you've told me about your motivation and the rewarding aspects of it. Were there any challenges that
Oh,
you
yeah.
faced? Could you tell us
Yes.
about them?
Well, sometimes there's technology challenges, which is no one's fault. It happens all the time. Um, I mean, it's such a gift and a blessing to be able to have Zoom and have these video conferences, but it's not always perfect. Sometimes the technology is slow or it has issues, but that that's no one's fault. It just happens. Besides that, I wouldn't say there were very many problems because it's it's always a good thing to be learning. And whenever I struggled with something, Ashley was always good about explaining it. For example, if I didn't understand a word she said, I would write it down and then she would send it to me in the chat so I could make sure I wrote it correctly. And then she would explain it to me in Spanish until I understood. And I love that because I know Coach Ashley can speak English, but she was always so good about explaining things to me in Spanish. And I love that because I don't want the easy way out and I don't want to cheat. I want to learn the words through Spanish.
Right, of course. And how did you manage to always make your lessons? You talked about the motivation how much you loved it, but was there anything else that kept you going in spite of life getting busy sometimes?
Oh gosh, I just loved it. I love that if I needed to, Spanish 55 was really good about letting me cancel a class and reschedule, which is so wonderful because life happens and sometimes things come up that you aren't expecting. And so it didn't happen often, but I would say a couple times I had to reschedule the class. But I just loved my Spanish classes and I didn't want to ever miss them. And now that we're done with San Miguel, that maybe um, I can start up classes again because we're going to go to Mexico again
Wonderful.
in May and then for all of August and part of September next year. I can't wait.
Oh, and you can just see how happy the thought makes you, Ardy.
Yes, I love it. I told my husband, I said, if you want to move to Mexico, let me know because I will do it. And he said, I like it, but not that much.
Well, he's on this journey to learn Spanish. Maybe when he continues learning, he'll be like, "Yes, let's do it now."
Yes, exactly. I need him to start taking classes.
we'll be happy to have him with us.
Yeah, that's
What
fun.
wonderful, Artie. So if you were to talk with somebody who is just starting out on their Spanish journey, what tip would you give them?
I would say consistency. I
Okay.
would say don't just take one class a week. If you can afford it, if you can find the time to, I would say take as many classes as you can, because the more exposure, the better. Kind of
Mm-hmm.
like how I was doing my classes and the podcasts and the music. I would say you need some exposure every day. And hopefully, someone who is serious about learning, they can do that.
Okay. Great advice.
Yeah.
And this is a question that we recently started incorporating into the podcast. What does conquering Spanish mean to you?
Oh, gosh. That's a cool phrase. Well, I don't know that I will ever be 100% fluent to say I've conquered Spanish, but I also maybe feel like I've never conquered English. Sometimes I come across a word in English that I don't know. And so to me, conquering Spanish is a journey where you're just trying to be better today than you were yesterday, or you're trying to learn more every day. And it's a good goal to want to conquer Spanish. And I think taking classes with Spanish 55 is definitely a big help.
Oh, thank you. I loved that mindset, just, one day after the other and you'll slowly
And
get there.
yes, absolutely. And never give up and just keep exposing yourself to as much language as you can.
Okay, wonderful. And before we go, I want to congratulate you, Artie, because not only because of what Ashley mentioned, but because you reached one of the goals that you had to be more confident, to be conversational, and just to be able to live life in Spanish.
Yes, I love it. I love it so much. It opens so many doors. Like we have friends who want to go to Machu Picchu, but they're afraid they don't speak Spanish. I'm like, well, learn. Go learn
Mhm.
Spanish and travel the world and see things that you maybe wouldn't have had the confidence to go see.
Mhm.
You didn't know some Spanish.
Of course, it plays a big part in just, having new experiences.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and it's not like you have to know, like you said, everything, just a couple of words, and that's sometimes enough to make you feel confident, safe, and just being able to navigate around a foreign country.
Yes, because I asked Coach Ashley if she has other students who are true beginners, and she said, "Oh yes," and that people just want to take a trip or something, and so she helps teach them the everyday Spanish they might need for traveling, and I think
Mhm.
that's great too.
Exactly. Like different goals, different ways of learning Spanish, and just different ways of applying it in life. Mm.
Yeah.
All right. Artie, do you want to give Coach Ashley a shout out?
Oh gosh, do I ever? I love her so much. I miss her. Ashley was wonderful. She was the best part of my week, and I really enjoyed it. And she literally did give me the confidence to go to Mexico for the whole month with my husband, and we had just the most enjoyable month. And Ashley, te amo y te extraño y gracias por todo y te agradezco.
Thank you so much, Artie. And it was wonderful talking to you. I enjoyed it. And you know what? You show just, all this passion. And it's just wonderful to know that you enjoy learning so much.
Okay, great. Thank you, Tanya.
You're welcome. And I'm sure when you come back to Mexico, you'll have fun speaking Spanish and playing pickleball. You need to
Yes,
come to Mexico City to see the different leagues that we have here.
yes, I want to.
All right. Thank you, Artie.
Okay, bye.
Bye bye.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation with Ardy just as much as I did. Her enthusiasm and passion for Spanish and for life are simply contagious. And if you want to have fun learning Spanish, make sure to check out
our website, Spanish55.com, to book your free consultation call. You'll be able to have a 55-minute session with one of our professional coaches who will tailor each lesson just for you. This trial will allow you to feel what a session will be like, and I'm sure you'll have a great time. So go ahead, book your free trial, and continue conquering Spanish. I'll see you next time.